I'm good.
Hey, everybody. My name's Monique, and I'm here with Reiko. She is going to be presenting at the annual Selfcare conference in Atlanta, and we're so excited to have you here with us. So before we get started, why don't you just tell everyone that's here a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am Reiko Foster. I am in Houston, born and raised, and I was an educator. I still am technically, but I was a content teacher. I was an English teacher for going on about 17 years. So I taught mostly high school English. I taught everything from 9th to 10th grade English, seniors, and then I went to middle school. I never went as low as 8th grade. By the way, let me just admit that I have 2 kids. So you're going to hear a dog bark. You might see a kid pop behind me. We're just going to roll with it. But yeah, so I was an English teacher for roughly about 17, 18 years. But this is technically in June of this year coming up will be make a full year that I'm out of the classroom. What I did was I made the transition from a content teacher to now I'm an academic advisor, so to speak. I'm a program advisor. And so the program that I work with is for one of the largest school districts in Houston. And basically what I do is I go into middle schools. I call myself a guest speaker. Basically, I go into middle schools and I talk to students about high schools that are available to them, also college and career. So that's something new that is starting down here. They're trying to they're trying to capture the students even before they step foot on high school campuses.
That's awesome.
Yeah, think about their career pathway. So in June it'll make a year of that. So I do see students, but in a non-traditional way. Like I pop into a class, say my little speech and do my little dance, and then I go to do administrative stuff. But I'm still in the education field. So once a teacher, always a teacher.
That's so awesome. Really that. I think about when I was in high school, and I felt very ill-prepared for life after high school, as far as so it's really good to hear that they're putting more programs in place and things like that. That's super awesome. And you've had so much experience in the classroom and stuff, so that just means that your session is going to have so much more value to it because you've been through all of this and stuff like that. So can you tell everybody what is your session going to be about in Atlanta?
Sure. So my session is called How to Avoid the Dreaded Teacher Uniform. Okay. And it kind of came about because in addition to me teaching all of those years, I also was a style blogger. I still am, but I'm more of a family style blogger now. And I had a blog called God's Favorite Shoes, where I would kind of take pictures of my outfits and tell everybody, what was going on with my day. And I gained a following that way. So I did that for years, in addition to being a teacher. So I always said that I was a teacher by day, but I was a blogger by night. And kind of morphed into right now what I'm doing is kind of marrying the two. So taking my education experience and then taking my experience as a style blogger, and it kind of fit perfectly under the umbrella of teacher self-care, because that's really honestly what it is. And that's kind of what I'll be talking about at the session. I'll be talking about how students pay attention to what you wear, and often what you wear speaks volumes before you ever open your mouth in a classroom. Mm-hmm. And so the other thing I noticed is in all the years that I was teaching, I always went out of my way. I didn't always wear heels. I was that chick though for a while, for the first 3 or 4 years. I was wearing heels every day. Okay. It's so anti, the sweatshirt with the school bus right here, or the apple. I was not gonna be that girl. But really what it was is I just did not want to sacrifice my personal style, even though I was a teacher. And so that kind of just spoke to people. And, over the years, people kind of knew me for that. Oh, that's Miss Foster. She's the one that wears polka dot shoes with a leopard jacket, and she's okay. And she's still teaching her content. So that's kind of what I'll be talking about during my session, is how you can still honor your spirit, that you can still take care of yourself. And that doesn't mean that you're any less of a teacher. Just because you put together an outfit doesn't mean that you're not a valuable teacher. Because sometimes people teacher shame you. Like, oh, she's so worried about this, but I bet her class, they're not performing well. So it's really just me kind of speaking to the heart of that in my session.
Yeah, no, I really like that. And I like that your session is about style, because I always tell people, like, self-care is so different for everyone. And so, like, I love the style and fashion. I love clothes. I always feel like if you look at so I think that a lot of people will be able to really, like, resonate with what you're doing and talking about.
Yeah, I was a presenter at the San Antonio conference. Mm-hmm. And I was nervous because this is my first time doing this in this arena. But, I kind of started to accept the fact that this is my jam. This is what I do, And I was so pleased by the response. There were obviously a lot of teachers in there, but there were administrators, there were people that weren't necessarily in the education field that were in there, and they found value in the fact that you can put together an outfit, if nothing else, just doing it for you. Like, I know for me, the way I dress often mirrors how I feel. And that doesn't mean I don't wear my sweatshirts, and that doesn't mean I don't wear my sneakers, because I do, but I really try to set aside time to invest in myself that way. And that's what I kind of think of it as. Like, some people get manicures all the time, and some people go to the spa, and that's their self-care. But I think, like, this to me, like a daily investment in your own self-care.
Yeah, it's funny that you talked about dogs. My dog is being so bad during this live. I don't know. I don't see the dog at all. Like, pushing her out the way. I'm like, no.
My daughter came around the corner. I just kind of looked at her.
You gave her the look. The dog doesn't understand the look. I'm like, stop it. Okay, so I feel like sometimes, though, there's a misconception about the teacher who dresses high. Like, what do you feel like the biggest misconception about it? What do you feel like the biggest misconception there is about teachers who go out of their way to look or overdress?
Yeah, because I am who I am, not to say I'm the best dresser, that is not my goal. I don't walk around saying, girl, look at me. That's not what I do. But I think what I've noticed is that people noticed about me is that I was willing to be myself. So I was the girl that was wearing camouflage jackets and wearing a leopard heel. I've never personally kind of experienced any snapback or, because I can fight too. So, there's that. I'm just kidding. But so in my session, though, I did hear a lot of the teachers say that they were scared. And they were scared about, oh, this doesn't look right. And what if somebody says something? But I just kind of don't understand. I think it's one of those things where you kind of have to train yourself to kind of not care and almost have tunnel vision. But I don't know. I think this still goes under teacher shaming. But I kind of feel like people who do that, who care that much about what someone else is wearing, to me, and maybe this is just because I'm getting older, I feel like it speaks more to their insecurities than it is about what you're wearing. Cute and still teach your class and, what on them. But I don't understand how you can't be both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely get that. And I also feel like sometimes, a lot of times when I hear people with that mindset, it's more them than it is anybody else. A lot of times you think that people are talking about you and really they don't even care. You know what I mean? So sometimes we just need to get out of our own heads.
That is so true.
Nobody even really cares that much.
You're thinking more about that than you. I learned that lesson maybe 10 years ago. I was never an insecure person, but I did kind of think oh, they're probably wondering, what is she wearing? And then I kind of had to, honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I was listening to a podcast by Miley Teal. I don't know if you ever heard of her.
Okay.
And kind of one of the things that she talks about is just how she's become confident in the business world. And so, she talked about how she overcame caring about what other people were thinking but it was mainly because it was really her thinking it about herself. And 9 out of 10, people ain't thinking about you the way you think they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Once you kind of, come to terms with that, I think the sky is the limit. And that's not just for style, that's for life in general. Like, you can soar so much higher once you realize like that you're getting in your own way sometimes.
Yeah, I agree with that. We have a few comments, so I'm going to read one of them.
Oh, okay, cool.
I feel better. I definitely feel better when I dress up and dress stylish. Maybe not necessarily wear heels in elementary ages, but stylish. I agree. Like, the days that I feel my best self are the days that I pick out my outfit the night before. I get up, I do my hair, I put my makeup on. I just feel nice instantly. I sit there and like roll out of bed and like just throw anything on. I'm like, ugh, like I look bad, I feel bad, like, and so I think it does help. And I think it's not necessarily about just what you wear; it's just that you're wearing something that you like. I don't know if it's the way, but like you love wearing a crew neck and you feel stylish and flying a crew neck, and that's your look. Then like wear your crew neck and rock your crew neck. But like I just feel like it's all about like what makes you feel good.
I agree. Let me tell you, when I was teaching middle school, I would get the biggest response when I would wear like my Adidas with a skirt. Like, I mean, it just like would be like wildfire. Like, Miss Foster has on Adidas. I'm like, you're wearing Adidas. I don't understand what we're doing right here. But it was just because Miss Foster was wearing something that they wear also. If anytime I wore my chucks, and I always wore like a dress with it. And sometimes I would wear like a flare out dress, something that you wouldn't traditionally wear with chucks. But that's who I am, and I think not only adults, but I think students too, especially depending on your demographic. Like for me, I always worked in school districts where the demographic was mostly students that looked like me. So a lot of times they, never saw outside of their school, right? So me being this chick that was like, I'm teaching you Romeo and Juliet and Shakespeare, and I can get down with it. But I also, I put together a look. Sometimes I would even tell them like, oh, I'm getting dressed for you. Like, aren't you worth it? Aren't you worth me looking decent for you? Do you really want me to stand here and talk to you for 35 minutes and I look like a schlub? And they were like, no, miss,
Yeah, I agree. So someone else left a comment, and basically the gist of their comment is that they work with younger students, and so they feel like they don't wear dressy clothes because their clothes have gotten ruined, so they don't want to wear dressy clothes to work. What would you say to someone who feels that?
Well, I think that's kind of I understand that too, because I have a lot of friends that are elementary school teachers, but I think that's what it is. I think that people think that investing in your style means that you have to wear quote unquote church clothes or wear a dress. And it may not even be that, being an elementary school teacher, you have to wear flats, you probably have to wear sneakers, but even that can have a polished look to it. For me, even sometimes I'm looking at your sweatshirt that you have on now. For me, I can wear that sweatshirt with a leopard skirt, like just like a leopard little skirt and my Chuck Taylors. And to me, that's a polished look, but it just because I guess it speaks to your style. But I think the main thing is that it really, the term dressy or dress up is kind of relative. Like, there's certain things that I would never wear to work. I have been known to wear a sequin jacket, but that's neither here nor there. But, there are ways to look pulled together.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean like sacrificing your nice clothes.
No, yeah, I agree. And I think kindergarten, so like that's like young, besides preschool, that's as young as it gets. And I just feel like too, like, I don't know. I guess every classroom is probably different, but like I'm not rolling around in the paint with the kids. So like, I won't wear white to work. Like I'm okay to not wear white pants because I might sit in something. But like I feel like there are still many outfits that I can wear in my classroom where I can still function properly as a kindergarten.
Yeah, I think too. Like for me, this is what there are certain positions, even in education, that call for certain things. Like obviously, if you are a PE coach, you're not going to be wearing, the stuff that I would wear in a classroom all day. But then I also see some teachers who aren't teaching PE, and they're like the math teacher or they're the social studies teacher, and they just wear like a polo, like literally almost the same polo every day. It's almost like a uniform. And that's kind of what I'm trying to, if there's anything that I want to speak to, is to that, like just avoiding like, to me, you're at school more than you are at home. Mm-hmm. You're at school more than you are with your family, with your kids, with your husband, whoever. So why not put in a little effort in, because you're going to be in it all day long.
Yeah, I agree. And so if people attend your session in San Antonio, what can they expect to be different about your session in Atlanta?
So the session itself, I'll share, one of the things that kind of got me into this was I never really expected for this to be my thing. But what happened was the last year that I was a content teacher, I decided at the last minute, you know what? I'm going to put a mirror. I went to Walmart and got like the regular $5 dorm. You know how you get the mirrors for your dorm room? Yeah. And I propped it in my classroom next to the window. And I would do like every morning an outfit post, like via Insta stories. Sometimes I didn't even have time to like pose for a picture, but I could really quickly say, good morning, this is what I'm wearing. And so that garnered a response. And so what I ended up having a lot of videos, in my arsenal that I saved on Insta stories and pictures. And so that's part of the thing that I kind of do in my session, is I show some of the videos of the outfits and how people think that because you're in style that or you're into style that you shop a lot. And I actually don't like to shop. Like, I don't like going to the mall.
Oh, but I would have never guessed that. I'd have been like, this girl shops. Like, okay.
If I go to the mall, it's because I'm looking for something specific, but I'm definitely one of those people like, I don't buy outfits for an event. Like, it has to fit my lifestyle. I need to be able to wear it to the church. I need to be able to find a way to wear it to work. I need to be able to wear it on the weekend some kind of way.
Because I buy an outfit for every single thing that I go to. I buy outfit for
this. A lot of people think that, but I don't. And, so I try to make sure that my clothes are multifunctional. So I talk about that also in the session. I talk about how wearing certain pieces, you can transition them from different seasons or even from day to evening looks. Now, at the session in San Antonio, I'm from Houston, so I was able to like just drive, a 2-hour drive to Houston. And so I have like a real life-size mannequin. Those of you who went to the San Antonio session remember me lugging like this huge like mannequin there. So I'm not doing that because this is in Atlanta. So we're not putting Ruby, the mannequin, on the plane. But what I am going to do, I'm going to see, I have this little style rack. I don't know if you can see that behind me.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, I'll bring possibly that. But this time, instead of a mannequin, I do happen to know some very professional models that happen to live in Atlanta that also happen to be my friends. So she's actually going to be there with me, and I get to style her on the spot. So I'll be able to.
Oh, that'll be so cool.
Kind of like she's going to be my walking live mannequin.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Live mannequin better anyway. So then my next question for you, we had another comment, and someone said that what if your school has like a dress code for teachers, which I actually do have a friend where their students have a uniform, so their teachers have to wear like a uniform every day. What would be your suggestion?
That would be so much torture for me. That would be so much torture for me. Now, I'm not trying to make nobody lose their job. Keep your job. But I guess it just really depends on how heavily the dress code is enforced. Like, I had a friend who works in Houston in a different district, and she was a middle school teacher. She taught English, and they required her to wear a collar and hosiery.
See, now that's some feminist. Like, why do I have to wear pantyhose?
Yeah, and then the men always had to wear, a tie. And apparently, depending on her administrators, they enforced it heavily. Like, they got written up, and she didn't have a collar on. I don't know how she survived, because I would not be able to at all. Yeah.
In high school, they changed this to dress code. And when I say I like finagle, because I mean, we had to wear like collared shirt and like a turtleneck. So I was cutest turtlenecks. I was I was like, oh no, this is my senior year. Y'all not about to mess up. But like, I couldn't imagine like having to do that as an adult for the rest of my life.
I just think that it's such an antiquated way to think, and I think that speaks to like stifling teachers just freedom. But anyway, that's a whole other different conversation. But to answer your question, if there was a way, like for me, and I'll even say it this way. So my daughter she was in preschool and they wore uniforms, but the mama that I am, I found ways to make her uniforms fly. So I was like, she could wear like a button-down white shirt. So I was the one that was rolling her sleeves up. You know, I was popping her collar. I always had like a cute little necklace right here that was kid appropriate. You know, I found different ways to add stuff. Like I would throw leggings under a khaki skirt just for a different vibe. So I guess it really would depend on the type of uniform that there's required. Like if it was a polo shirt, I don't really know how you can make a polo. Yeah, if it's something like a requirement for like you having to have a button-down white shirt, okay, well then that's fine, because then I can go buy a whole bunch of shirt dresses that are white button-down. You know what I mean? And I could, you know, throw some cute loafers on. I'd probably invest in like some cute socks. You know, if you were into socks, I would just find some way around it. But like if they're wearing like polo shirts, I don't know.
I was just saying, I would have all stars, all the accessories. Yeah. So, what are you looking forward to most about the Atlanta conference?
So, first of all, I'm excited to be in Atlanta, period. So that is my second home, where really Louisiana and Atlanta have a special place in my heart. So I have my in-laws, my in-loves, as I call them. They live in Atlanta, so I'm excited to, you know, I get to connect with them. Uh-oh, my little computer. Can you still see me? My computer is trying to act like it's dying.
Oh, no.
No.
Don't die.
No. All right. So, so my in-laws live there. And in Atlanta, actually, because I blog for so many years, I do have like a lot of blogger friends that I'm hoping that I get to see outside of the conference. But just in general, I'm really excited to kind of connect with educators, you know, at the conference. I think this conference in general, honestly, had this conference existed even 5 years ago, there might have been a chance that I'd still be in the classroom. Not saying that being in the classroom is better, but for me and my spirit right now where I was in life, it worked for me. But I think there's just such a need for it. And, you know, I'm grateful that, you know, Fran would even, you know, consider me to be a part of this movement, because I think it's so important. And, you know, I love that self-care looks different for different people. Like, I'm not the pedicure girl, but I can find you a cute shirt.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And we're so excited to have you. I can't wait. I'm going to make sure that I step in on your session, because I need to see that model. I'm excited. I love fashion. I love clothes. So if people want to get in contact with you or stay connected with you after this live, how can they do that?
Okay, hold on. Let me plug up, because my phone, computer is janky, and it will shut down.
Well, I do want to remind you guys that there is a code that you can use right now, family, FAMILY, to get your tickets to the Self-Care Conference in Atlanta at a discounted price. This is a limited time only. So if you have not registered yet, you are going to want to head to the teacherselfcareconference.org and get registered, and make sure you use that code family so that you can get the discounted rate. And then make sure you follow Teacher Self-Care Conference on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and stay connected with you.
Awesome. So I'm mostly on Instagram, and you can follow me at Reiko Foster. That's Reiko Foster. And I also have Facebook, but my website is reikofoster.com. And basically on there, that's just kind of my home, where I house everything. And so right now, like, if you wanted to connect with me more, you could purchase my style ebook that I released. Actually, I released it at the San Antonio conference. So that was kind of the debut of it. And so it's called How to Avoid the Dreaded Teacher Uniform. And it's really technically a workbook, because teachers love workbooks. So I call it a style ebook, and it helps you kind of first look at what you already have and kind of assess it, like almost like a checklist, because a lot of people, like you said, you buy things for events, but what happens is you end up accumulating a lot of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And so sometimes you get too much stuff can also limit what you wear because you're overwhelmed by the choices. So that I address that in the style book. I give you a checklist, and then I also show what I kind of give you categories as to, like, some people are mostly classic. Like for me, I'm kind of a mixture of a lot of things. Like sometimes I'm like super classic and I'm wearing a button down and khakis, but then I'm very bohemian sometimes and wear scarves and mixed prints and things like that. So I kind of help you identify what your style is, and I also actually show you what that looks like on real bodies. And the advantage to being a blogger is that you have a lot of blogger friends that will allow you to steal their pictures. Yeah. So you'll see a lot of people who have been purchasing the ebook, the style book, have noticed, like, oh, Kim from Naturally Fashionable is in here. That's because I really know her. And I think that's an advantage. It's one thing to, say, oh, you need a white button-down shirt, but you don't see what it looks like on someone's body that has your body type.
Yeah.
It was very important to me. So you get to see different body types, you get to see different ethnicities and what things look like. And that's really what it is. It's an easy read. It's really designed to make your life easier. Even if you bought it today and just browse through it, it's designed to make you rethink how you wake up in the morning and get yourself off to work. So I'm excited about it. And they can go to my Instagram, Reiko Foster, or straight to ReikoFoster.com.
That's awesome. Yes, I'm going to have to check out that book. Thank you so much for going live with us and talking with us today. I can't wait to see you in Atlanta. And like I said, make sure you guys follow Teacher Self-Care Conference on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can head to teacherselfcareconference.org to get your tickets today for the Atlanta Self-Care Conference this summer in June. To see you guys there, and make sure you use that code family. And thanks. We love you guys.
Thank you. Bye.